All right. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Beaufort County's House of Cards. I am your host, Mike Covert. Glad to have you here. Let's see why we can't. There, boom. There we go. Welcome, everybody. Glad to have you here. My name is Mike Covert. I'm your host for Beaufort County's House of Cards. Mystery, mayhem, and manipulation. It is 7 o'clock, 18th of August. A lot of rain right now here in the low country. So, from what I understand, get used to it. Get used to it because it's going to be here for a little bit. Let's see. Let's take care of some business. And we're glad you're here tonight. Tonight's going to be a great show. We've had great shows every single week so far. Don't forget, um, put your comments in your chat bar. It'll come up here, and if we can get it on screen, we'll talk about that. If you hear any, the internet tonight may be a little quirky, especially with rain in the area. That's just something we live with here. Apparently, um, always need to say that, and let me know if something doesn't sound right. We may be able to tweak it on our end, or pile off and come back on. We'll see what happens. Don't forget, there are different ways you can watch the show. Obviously, on Facebook, we ask you to go to Facebook, the Beaufort County House of Cards um, Facebook page, and like the page. You'll get updates from what's going on there. You can also see us on Twitch. Again, look for Beaufort County's House of Cards, and you can go to YouTube. We are broadcasting on YouTube live, and we just checked that, and it's up there. Um, Hit subscribe, ring the little bell. You'll get notices and enjoy all the videos we post as we grow. It'll only get better from here. So as we grow, hit subscribe and ring that bell. And if you enjoy the show, help us grow the show. There's two ways to do that. You can either go to our Cash App, which is $M Covert 1581. And I believe that is case sensitive. So that's a capital M, a capital C, OVERT, M Covert 1581 at Cash App. Or you can go to what's really cool, and that is the Patreon page. That is patreon.com. You see it scrolling across the screen there, / Beaufort House of Cards. And there at the Patreon site, you can sign up for a membership. That back feed was killing me. In different levels and enjoy different things that come along with being a member of the Beaufort County's House of Cards. And you'll see other people there. You can talk there. There's a chat room there. You can interact with each other, and just super excited about those that have already joined. We're glad to see you. So again, put your chat in the chat bar. Already have some things we're going to start sharing here shortly, but first we want to take a look at what is in the news this past week. And we don't usually get too far in the weeds on national stuff here because, well, the mainstream media regurgitates it over and over and over and over, and it becomes vomit, quite honestly. And after a while, you get enough of that. And to be honest, as I've always said, uh, real politics, real government, really happens here at the local level. That's where the rubber meets the road. The national level, a lot of people think that's the hierarchy, that's the pinnacle, that's the top of the pyramid, and it's actually the exact opposite from that. It's what happens here that makes the real difference. But anyway, I thought we would venture down into national news land, and I wanted to say something about this FBI raid that we learned about over the last week or so. The FBI raid on Mar-a-Lago at President Donald Trump's home. If you haven't been paying attention, um, I find it odd, and take the Trump persona out of it. Even though I think that does have something to do with it, because quite frankly, the mainstream media just cannot get past President Trump. Whether you like him or not, whether you support him or not, even though the mainstream media says that the conservatives can't let him go, I see it a different way. I see that they can't stop talking about him. I mean, it's almost like they have an affection, a strange, weird affection. But anyway, what isn't right, this raid, okay? They did not raid Hillary Clinton's house or the email servers in the middle of the night and block off streets and have people with weapons in hand going through the door. They didn't do that, and all the other things that Hillary Clinton was a part of, the hoaxes and the scandals that they're out there. They're trying to keep them under the rugs, and unfortunately, a lot of people have died trying to expose them. But anyway, they did not raid Hunter Biden's home, even after the laptop was discovered. And that wasn't done by any kind of conservative or GOP operative. That was discovered by John Q. Public, who owns a computer store, I think it was, repair shop, something to that nature. They didn't go. They didn't go raid his house after that. They didn't go raid his house after it was found of his nefarious activities with both Ukrainian and Chinese government officials, along with businesses in both or businesses in Ukraine. They didn't raid his home. They did not raid Obama's residence in Chicago about documents that he took there admittedly from the White House. Admittedly, they didn't they didn't raid his home, but they did President Trump. Now, I I do know that presidents have the ability and the authority to sensitize or remove the top secret. They can whatever you call it. They can bring it down a notch. They have a right to do that and the ability to do that. Now, I don't know what paperwork they were looking for. I have no idea. Do I think that every president that has ever walked has taken things out of their office back to the casa when they leave? Absolutely. I mean, if you really sit there and think that when they're done, they put the pen down and they go, "Okay, it's your ball now," and walk out. That's not living in the real world. I mean, we have to be honest about that. They all do it. I know they all do it. So this is simply, and this has been reported in different venues. This is political bias. That's all this is, and it's been proven by several methods. But I think most damning was numerous whistleblowers from the Washington field office of the FBI that went to Director Christopher Wray and said, along with multiple senators and congressmen, and blew the whistle, as they say. These whistleblowers, from what I understand, from multiple reports from the Wall Street Journal to Bloomberg to CNN to Fox to OAN to trying to deduce from them all and find a little bit of truth in somewhere of all of them. They laid out their details in somewhat manifestos, if you would, with all the missteps of the FBI in even trying to cover up their own mistakes. It is apparent that the FBI is not the institution that it once was. And we're going to talk a little bit later about some things with these institutions that needs to happen that was forecast, so to speak, back in the 1960s. But the FBI is not what it was once was. Is it a makeover needed? Yes, structurally and completely. DOJ problems? Without question. Without question. And I place blame on the DOJ at all levels. I sometimes wonder who is running the asylum. I think that the inmates in DC are really running the asylum. It's a crazy thing, but that's why we don't talk about it a whole lot on here. We're more concerned about what happens here locally. So, in other news, more local news, as was reported here last week, the Ward 4 of Hilton Head Town Council candidacy has changed from I'm sorry, from three candidates down to two candidates. Peter Christian, who put his name in the race early on, has withdrawn and has decided to run for the school board again. Christian told the Island Packet earlier this week that, quote, there are two fine candidates for the electorate to choose from who already know the position. My leadership is better suited for school board. So, it goes without saying. My first thought was, well, is Mr. Christian, and I don't know him. I've talked to him on the phone before, but I don't really know him. Does he mean that the school board doesn't need the type of leadership that the town council needs? I mean, I don't know. I'm asking him that. Is that what you meant by that, or is it something else? I mean, I'm confused. Either way, this will be Christian's second run at the school board. He ran back in 2018 and lost to current Beaver County School Board member Melvin Campbell. There is also another challenger in that District 4 race, and that is, I believe her name is Elizabeth Hay. I'm not don't know anything about her yet. Speaking of the school board, let's take a look at their upcoming races so far here in November. District 2 over in Beaufort, in the the city of Beaufort and Ladies Island area. That is going to see a new county council representative this coming year. They have two newcomers in the school board race, Chloe Gordon and Terry Thomas, running for that seat. I don't know of either one of those folks. I want to get to know them, and I tell you what, because I am not in there is no conflict. I would love to have a um, like a debate, if you would, here on Beaufort County's House of Cards uh, with those two. Bring them on at the same time. We'll talk about that later on. District 3, incumbent William Smith is running for reelection, which leads me to wonder because Willie Terrell, the candidate for county auditor who just got wiped off the canvas by David Cadd, has been posting like hashtags on all of his social media about the hashtag Willie T for District 3. Well, that can mean only one of two things. Either Willie T is going to run for school board, and I don't have his name active on the list from the County Board of Elections, or Willie T is going to run against York Glover for county council, and that would be in 2 years. Let's see. Willie T says he is a converted and he's a changed man into a Republican. District 3 is a very heavy Democrat base. York Glover, the current county councilman. I don't know that he's not going to run again. I don't know that he is. York and I got on county council at the same time. Even though he is a Democrat, I'm a Republican. I'll tell you one thing. I have so much respect for York Glover because the needs of his community, okay, are number one with York Glover. I totally respect that. I have never had an inkling of any kind of corruption with York. Everything's been above board. I've been happy to work with him on a myriad of items over the years. So I fully support York Glover, and he's a Democrat. But again, does all that really matter here at a local level? Anyway, here's where it gets really interesting. In District 4 for the school board, so Richard Geyer is running in District 4. Richard Geyer is currently the District 5 school board representative. Because of redistricting, he got moved into District 4. Well, currently, District 4 is occupied by Ms. Fidrich. When all this came about, Ms. Fidrich openly said, I'm not running for reelection. I will give way to Richard Geyer, who was a good guy. no problems with Richard Geyer. Interesting how that all works out, and I believe there's nobody else running, so he'll keep the new seat for him. District 5 has no candidate. Whomever the District 5 representative is right now, and I lose track because of redistricting, there is no candidate. So whomever writes in, if it's only one, I mean, somebody's going to get written in as District 5. So don't let this go to waste for all of you out there that are political activists. Either get in touch with the Board of Elections if you're in District 5, and the new District 5 is half of Sun City, Riverbend, Oldfield, Berkeley Hall, I believe, and let them know you're wanting to run. Then contact me or anybody else in the political world that knows how to get you started, and we'll get you started on your way. That's District 5. District 7, which I didn't think was on the ballot, but apparently it is. My good friend, Dr. Rachel Wisniewski, the incumbent, is running again alongside of opponent Tommy Broderick. I fully support 110% Dr. Wisniewski. Say that 10 times. And finally, District 10, I believe it is, over on Hilton Head, two newcomers, um, Carlton Dallas and Joshua Mathanius. Actually, that's District 8. Both newcomers. And Ivy says, and Habersham. Yes, that's right, and Habersham. A lot of good folks in Habersham. I know there's a lot in there to be great on the school board. Anyway, Carlton Dallas and Joshua Mathanius are running for school board. Of note, because I know them both, Carlton Dallas is a member of the highly speculative Greater Island Council. Take that for what it's worth, but it is what it is. All right. My good friend Al Flowers put on here. How about the chief of Bluffton Police Department resigning after 2 short years? Why can't we keep his chief? Well, here in my segment of what's in the news, the last little piece of news was about the town of Bluffton and its consistency of having police chief problems. It continues to grow. Chief Price has turned in her resignation. She stated in her letter of resignation that her last day will be on or before September 15th. No indication of why she was resigning. Chief Price was the 4th chief in the last 3 years and the 5th in the last 6 years. Our question here at this channel is, as my good friend Al Flowers, what is going on with the town of Bluffton and its police department? I was talking to someone earlier in the social media journalism arena, and they were asking me this same thing. And I said, well, I'm not casting blame anywhere, but let's look at something. What's changed? What's happened since all of these police chiefs? Well, town council has changed. There's been additions and subtractions. It's changed. I think the only one that hasn't changed, and I may be wrong, but I believe Fred Hamilton has been there through them all. Everybody else is new, on and off, on and off. The town manager has changed. They're on their third one um, through all these police chiefs. The one thing that hasn't changed is the mayor. That's right, Al, is the mayor. Now, is that a coincidence? I don't know. Is it a common denominator? I don't know. Am I telling you everything I know? I don't know. But no, seriously, what is the coincidence? It's the mayor. I don't know what it is, and that may be completely far off, but something's happening. I remember when I first moved here long ago, I guess it was 95, I believe, something like that. Johnny Brown was the police chief. And there were issues at the end of his gig. Chief McAllister, who I thought was a super guy, lived down the street from me at one time. There was a problem there. Then there, Chief Reynolds, and I live. The list goes on. They're all up to now. There's been a problem. We have a problem here, Houston. It is not a story that will be put to rest because people want to know why. Now there was a lot of speculation today, and people are saying, "Well, this is a personnel matter, and those matters aren't disclosed." Okay, understood. But the underlying issue here is that there have been too many police chiefs in this short of time. I mean, we only have, I don't know, was it 28, 38,000 people residing in the town sans all the donut holes of Bluffton. So to have that many chiefs in that short of time with that few of people, it just does not add up. I know the job pays well. One of the chiefs lived in Palmetto Bluff for a short time while either they were building a house or buying one or waiting on his wife to move from another state or whatever. I don't know that. I can't remember that too far ago. But I know he lived in Palmetto Bluff, and you can't live in Palmetto Bluff on pocket change. So I don't know. If you know anything, I'm not into speculative hearsay and rumors, but if you know anything, let me know. We'd love to talk about it. I would love to hear from the chief herself. Where are you going? She came here from the city of Savannah, who was looking for a police chief, by the way. Now, that's a job I would not want to have in the city of Savannah. I can tell you that. But anyhow, it is 25 minutes past 7 o'clock here at the Beaufort County's House of Cards, Mystery, Mayhem, and Manipulation. Don't forget to send us some comments in the chat bar. Avi, I've got yours, and we'll do that a little bit later when I get to that segment. Welcome to everyone on Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube. Don't forget to help us out. Donate to the radio show. We've got a lot of other things of the podcast that may include radio here in the near future. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But let's get on with the show and tell someone. If every one of you that are watching in all three of the different formats tells one person, "Hey, tune in Thursday night and watch this show. This guy's good. This guy's a goofball. I don't care. Whatever you think, just have them watch, have them join, have them click and all that good stuff and be a part of the show." Anyway, if you've been a dedicated listener to this show for any amount of time, we bring the reason for this is to bring the light of corruption and corrosive behaviors of people in government, of both elected and appointed individual, as well as shine the light of transparency and honesty, integrity, shine that light to a very dim and failing institution in all of the subsidiaries. One of those is Beaufort County's GOP. I have said South Carolina, as I have said, and have had others say that South Carolina is one of, if not the most corruptive southern states in politics, period, bar none. Well, I believe that Beaufort County is one of, if not the, at least in the top 3 or 4 counties, most corrupt counties in this state as well. Now, for someone in the media to make that kind of statement, if they have never either reported on politics or government, that may be far fetched. I have been in politics. I have been inside the government. I see how this works. So my view is a little bit different. I had been there and it touched me. I saw it. I saw it. So anyway, one example is that of the Beaufort County GOP leadership currently. Now, I'm a proud conservative. I'm a GOP member of a local club. I am a GOP member of the county party. I am a GOP member of the state party, and I am a part of the national GOP. I've even had meetings with the congressional GOP wing up in DC before. When I ran for federal office, I was known as one of the up and coming, along with winner Nancy Mace. I'll give that to her, and Kathy Landing. We all three had received accolades from the Senate or the Congressional Republican Coalition, I believe they were called, of up and coming politicians in the conservative movement. So I'm as conservative as they come. It's not like this is coming from the left. As a matter of fact, the corruption is so obvious, so apparent. It's like the county GOP leadership, this corruption that we're talking about, is behaving exactly like what they say the Democrats. That's the easy fallback. Well, the Democrats do this, and the Democrats do that. Well, their behavior of the leadership is exactly the way they say what the Democrats are doing, just like socialists, etc. And what does that create? Hence, that creates this uniparty because now you've got some people in GOP leadership who are no better than what we were. And I don't want to use the word fight because it's not a fight, but what we were competing against, if you will, in the traditional two-party system. So I want to share something with you all. And by all means, look, you do your homework. Um, I implore you to do your homework. Don't take it from me, but I'll give you the Reader's Digest version. So in the Republican Party, when the proverbial shit starts to hit the fan, you have elitists and you have the establishment coming out as they are right now, right like right now, with statements such as this. And this was said recently, and I quote, Republicans don't complain about each other, and Republicans do not attack each other. And I quote that and end quote that. And I call bullshit. This came out of the mouth of our current GOP chair, Kevin Hennelley, recently. Recent. Where was this attitude? Where was this boisterous attitude during the primary season? And yes, I am talking to you, Kevin Hennelley, chairman of the county party, because you see, Hennelley's henchmen are out on social media right now, and we've been watching, trying to change the narrative from him to them. And they did do this back during the primary season. Let's change the narrative from him to them. They're changing it to let's not attack Republican members. That's the them. Change it from Kevin Hennelley has done all of these alleged things to let's not attack Republican members. Anyway, I do digress with that. Establishment figureheads have this mentality of saying all of this regurgitated drivel, but in the background and behind the scenes, they capitalize on it. something I had started talking about, and we're gonna just share some common knowledge that's found all over the internet. You can do your own homework with what I'm about to tell you. It's not a secret. Unfortunately, people don't know about it, and some folks don't want you to know about this. But you see, back in 2017, 2018, something like that, um, Kevin Chairman Hennelley went literally ballistic in writing, mind you, against a company called Scratch Golf. At the same time, he was going off on the CEO of that company, who was also the CEO, I believe his title was, or chairman, of the parent company, which is Union Corporation out of Virginia. That CEO, his name was Jim, or is Jim McLaughlin, who happens to be, now follow this for me a second. And if you've got anybody that hasn't tuned in, tell them they can jump on here right now. This is interesting. Jim McLaughlin of Virginia is a huge GOP donor in Virginia. The former governor of Virginia, McDonnell, it was at the time, it was a bestie, if you want to, call it that. McDonnell was one of his besties. Well, Hennelley goes viral against this guy and what his company wanted to do after purchasing the Hilton Head national property here in Bluffton. And McLaughlin's, or I'm sorry, McDonald's wife worked with McLaughlin. This is a a tight knit group. These are friends. These are business associates. These are donors and contributors. Time out. Time out just a second. Look at it this way. Here we have a GOP member verbally abusing another GOP member who just happens to be a huge donor to the party. Isn't that exactly what Hennelley has his henchmen out there doing right now, saying, no, no, we don't do that. We don't do that. Republicans don't do that to each other. We must stand firm and we must stand resolute with whatever we have told you to vote for. So here we have this so called Republican posting, and I'm speaking of Hennelley, posting anti conservative views on a private project. Now, what do you mean, Mike? Anti conservative views? Well, I'll tell you. I'm glad you asked. The first thing is he spewed anti conservative rants against a private business. That's a tenement of conservatism, is that private businesses can excel when the government gets out of their way. Let the people make the choice. Let the local businessmen make it or break it without government interference. According to Chairman Hennelley, back in that time period, in his own words, he's obviously anti conservative. The second thing, he spewed anti conservative views and rants against private conservative individuals. What do you mean? In his own words, he went ballistic on this Jim McLaughlin, calling out all kinds of names and all kinds of situational issues that were not conservative, whatsoever. How can you call yourself a conservative? Honestly, look in the mirror and say, I'm a conservative. How can you do that? So, not only is Chairman Hennelley a member of the GOP, but also had gotten appointed to the Planning Commission, ironically, by yours truly, in that same time period, 2017, I believe it was. 2017, mid to late, I guess. Add that what I just said. He was the member of the planning commission. Add that to the list that an appointed official, by being a planning commissioner, and folks, when you look at all of the commissions and boards that this county has, even though none is any better or any higher in the hierarchy than the other by the book, let me tell you, the planning commission is at the top because they are involved weekly on items that are pertaining to county business, to people's homes, to businesses, to taxes, you name it. The planning commission is very, very involved, and a member of that commission is out running his mouth and putting it on the internet about what he thinks of this Jim McLaughlin and his company. And he calls himself a conservative. Well, in the end, old Chairman Hennelley got his ass sued in a big way, multiple ways. And when that happened, he became a little schoolboy whining about the suits from this big bad wolf. The big bad wolf had come after him. There's an old saying: when you go to the zoo, don't poke the monkey, because if you poke the monkey enough, he's going to throw crap right back at you. In this case, he poked the monkey, and the monkey won. Now, obviously, the businessman, the big bad wolf here, got tired of seeing this stuff all over the internet. I get it. I understand. And I'm sure he got tired of this coming from the planning commission. I mean, you talk about feeling like you are just you have a no-win situation when you're trying to get zoning approved for your project, good, bad, or otherwise. It's not about the project. It's all this other minutia that at the time people were just like, hey, who is this? Who is this Henley guy, and why is he doing this? You know what happened? But he got sued. So anyway, folks, you come up with your own conclusion with that. Look into it if you want to. If you think that Chairman Henley is what conservative leadership looks like and what conservative leadership is, hey, I invite you to drop me a line. You can put it there in the chat. Put your name on it if you're that hell bent that he is obviously a conservative leader. And we're going to give you your 15 minutes of fame. Matter of fact, I would like to have you on here if someone thinks that Hennelly's behavior, just alone with the scratch golf suit and all that, if his behavior is what you expect of an appointed official, whether it's the Planning Commission, the Parks and Rec Commission, or the Party Commission, it doesn't matter. Likewise, if you think he should step down, if you think he should step down, let us hear that as well, because we want to give both sides of the story. I never wanted to be said that, well, this Beaufort County House of Cards show is very one sided and he only looks at what he wants to talk about and that's it. That's not true. If you want to, you support him, let me know. I'll bring you on. I don't have a problem with that. If you don't, and thank you, Helen. That's right. Hashtag new leadership. And you think he should step down, let us know that as well. Because speaking of such, something you got to know. Anybody that's been around a while, and I come from the business point of view. Okay, I have I have little informants everywhere. They're inside the GOP hierarchy. I've got two inside the county Democratic Party. I know what the Democratic Party did during the primary to my race and to another race, but they were supporting Kaepernick. Uh, they were vocal about it because they feel that Alonzo Smalls can completely wipe her away. Now they got write-in candidate Carolyn Fisher to worry about, and they better be worried. But anyway, several councils around the area and commissions. I have some folks, and old Hennelley has said this week, uh, apparently because I wasn't there, but I've had multiple people say the same exact thing, not at the same time. So I guess it is allegedly. Let's say that. And Ivy, good to see you, Ivy. Yes, Kevin violated primary rules, needs to be replaced. I totally agree with that. Totally agree. But old Kevin Hennelley this week said, and I will quote, "There is no way in hell I will ever step down and no one can ever get rid of me." End quote. Wow. Wow. You're bigger than we are, Kevin. You're bigger than the rule of law because you see, we are a country that is a country based on rules of law, not based on men. And that's where you're completely miss the show. There's our future auditor, David Cadd. He and his family watching tonight. Yes, he does, and his henchmen. Thank you, David. Good to see you. So, do you believe all that? Do you believe? And I had, like I said, it wasn't one person. It was more than one, and they had the like exact same quote. And Julianne trying to make him eat his words. Yeah, indeed, indeed. It was so great to meet you the other day. So great to meet you. I'm trying to get something on the screen. There we go. Um, he was also overheard. I want to get the quote right this week. And one person said this was at the same meeting that the other quote was from. The other person that told me this didn't say whether it was or not. So I can't say whether or where this came from, but it's the same quote. And that quote is, and I quote, "No Republican will vote. I'm sorry, no Republican will be voting for any write-in candidates in this upcoming election." End quote. As if he was giving like an edict to his sheep or something. Quote, "No Republican will be voting." How did he say it? "No Republican will be voting for any write-in candidates in this upcoming election." Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Aren't Republicans and true conservatives supposed to be for free and fair elections? Aren't we supposed to be supporting that same free and fair election? That was bugging me. Not if you're Kevin Hennelley, I guess, obviously. And I can only guess and I can only surmise that he obviously is not for free and fair elections. A honest and transparent person would say the best person should win. The Republican Party supports so and so and so and so, but to come out with an edict that, I mean, this is not Iran, this is not Afghanistan, okay, where if you don't vote a certain way, you'd never come home. All right, Kevin, to say that no Republican will be voting for a write-in candidate this election is beyond sensible. It's unconscionable. This channel is continuing to call for Kevin Hennelley to resign. He can resign on his own terms, and throw, he can have his henchmen throw him a little party, and we'll have a parade and play whatever he listens to. He can do all that. Just resign. It'll be a one big la 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 party. Once that happens, then we will get the Republican Party, and I'm only speaking for Beaufort County because we have to lead the way. But we will get the Republican Party here in this county back in line, doing the work of Lincoln and Reagan, not what the Uniparty has become. It's time to go home, Kevin, and your brood, your henchmen need to resign and resign now. It is about 10 minutes before the top of the hour. Couple of comments. Alec Flowers of talkoneradio.com. Be sure to go over there and check Al out. Footnote on Price spent $13K to renovate her office. 16 officers have left during her tenure, and he quotes the Island Packet on that, and I've heard those same numbers. Interesting, interesting that they would allow a $13,000 waste to renovate an office. Anyway, Julianne, does he have an in? Speaking of Kevin Hennelley, with controlling the voting machine outcomes, he's not supposed to. But as we've heard, I experienced it as well. The machines weren't security sealed. They were accessible via Wi-Fi. How do you know that, Mike? Because of my situation with not being on the ballot, for them to fix it, someone in Beaufort logged in to the computer. I was standing right there. It was just me and the poll workers and my wife in the room. It was closed, waiting for them to fix it. You're not supposed to be able to get on there through Wi-Fi. They did. Does the chairman of the party have the ability to infiltrate those machines? I don't know. Does he? He shouldn't, but does he? The establishment doesn't want any opposition to the incumbents. Of course, you're exactly right, Avi. They don't want any opposition to anyone who is not an establishment elitist, a quasi-globalist mentality. It was funny during the primary season, a lot of folks who got their feathers ruffled were saying that I'm not an elitist. We're not elitist in Sun City. I don't think they know what that even means, to be quite honest with you. Matter of fact, I know they don't know what it means because out of one side of their mouth, they'll say that. And then at the other side, they will decide to keep their membership. And this is just one example from meeting all the candidates. I said early on, well, it's the candidates didn't get to see the people. No, really, the wrong was to the residents of that particular community. That particular community was not allowed to freely think for themselves and vote their conscience by seeing all the candidates. It was dictated to them by elitists, by the establishment, by the globalists, people like Jim Lee and Linda Cannon and so forth. It's easy. This is easy. David Cadd, soon to be auditor. Is this China? Does this not sound like something a Democrat would say? You're exactly correct, Mr. Auditor. And that's where the uniparty term comes into play, folks. This is exactly something that a Democrat would say. The establishment are not true conservatives. They may say they're the party of Reagan, the party of Lincoln, and they can say that all they want. I challenge them to say that they don't have a flipping clue what they're talking about because they're not. Abe Lincoln and Ronald Reagan they're probably doing the salsa over and over because of what they see from the pearly gates, they see people like Kevin Hennelley and Jim Lee and the establishment overall. They see what they're doing. They are killing the conservative movement. Buford Chalkboard. Good to see you all as a fan of the show. Says I'll say this louder for the people in the back. That's where the Baptists sit. If there is a qualified write-in candidate, I will vote for them. And I'm fed up with several incumbents. Couldn't have said it any better. Couldn't have said it any better. The right person, man or woman, should have the job. I said it earlier. York Glover over in St. Helena, District 3, is staunchly Democrat. Shouldn't be. Really should be like spearheading the conservative movement. But that's just another issue that we'll deal with that later. But he's a staunch Democrat. I would rather see him continue as county councilman for District 3 because he's open, honest, and transparent and believes in his people than somebody supposedly Willie Terrell is either running for that or school board. Who knows what he's doing? Says he's a conservative, has spent 2 years with Kevin Hennelley being taught, another problem, and makes videos laughing about it all. I'm sorry, that's not conservatism to me. That is not conservatism. Folks, if you would like to help support this channel, please consider going to patreon.com/Buford House of Cards and becoming a member of one of the levels. You can also make a one-time contribution to our Cash App at $MCovert1581. And I said this a couple of weeks ago. I'll say it again. And right now, before we get into the next segment, and we are at the top of the hour, 5 minutes before the top of the hour, still raining here in Bluffton, where we're broadcasting at this evening. Tell one person. Send that text right now. I know your thumb's itching. You just finished that bowl of ice cream or that nice little cocktail. Go ahead and send out that text. Tell them where to jump on. We are exploring the enhancement, possibly, of this channel into an internet radio station, a full-fledged internet radio station that would feature not only music, and music that I believe represents to me what pure Americana is, and that's blues, that is classic rock, that is country, classic country and current country pop, as well as straight talk news and podcasts, including this one, which is the flagship one, but also adding other podcasts of interest, such as Talk One Radio, possibly, or the Jeff Zapp Show, another outstanding podcast that you need to check out on Wednesday. I believe Al is on Tuesday. I believe, Al, let me know if I'm wrong. Jeff's on Wednesday, and we're on Thursday. I'd love to have them, and we'll work that out if this goes forward as part of that internet radio station. To do that, we are soliciting for commercial sponsors. Very affordable. Having paid, for commercials for a long time in business, I can tell you, you can rack up a lot of money pretty quick in advertising. This is going to be extremely affordable. Your name in commercials, whatever your business is going to be everywhere. I'm a firm believer in subliminal advertising. People used to say to me all the time, when they called for service, why did you call us? Well, I saw your shirts, your name on the back of everybody's shirt, and I just figured to call. Or I keep seeing your name on the billboard, and I just figured you're the air conditioning guy. Whatever it takes, it works. We're going to do that here. Affordable, in your face advertising, and it's going to be everywhere. Right now, we are currently being picked up in 11 states. I look at the what do you call it? The results or the insights or whatever. We're being picked up in 11 states and actually 4 countries around the world. At some point in time in the show, have clicked on the show and watched the show. So you're feel free to get in touch with me. You can leave something here if you want to do it privately. My email is cedarlake23 at outlook.com. That's Cedar Lake, the number 2, the number 3 at outlook.com. Feel free to give me a call, 843-305-0600. We've been working on a story, and I noticed this afternoon when I clicked over to the Island Packet that it actually got traction today. So I was kind of taken aback. I didn't know whether I shouldn't talk about it because I'd been working on it. And I thought, no, hell no. I spent some time on it, so I collaborated with the article. And the subject is soft corruption, if you will, involving Beaufort County government, specifically its Parks and Leisure Services or PALS program. Now, I want to make sure you understand I am not taking this position of the corruption against the director of PALS, Shannon Loper. Um, Not at all. This is above her pay grade. This involves management of the county. The buck stops with the administrator and the chairman of county council, their employee. So the county created a program earlier this year, and I was notified before summer by a friend of mine, a friend of the show, Laura Sterling. She made me aware of this, so props out to you, Laura. This program is called, or was called, Employee Only SC Program. And it sounded very benign. I mean, to me, that sounds very benign. I thought SC stood for South Carolina, whatever. No interest here, so keep moving. Well, SC stood for summer camp, not South Carolina. There was a memorandum sent out to employees that said, and I quote, since the program is not open to the public, we are doing our best to disguise it, end quote. Now, what was this program? Well, it was a summer program for employees' children at a discounted rate, a very honorable thought, okay, at the surface. Well, the program ended last week and ended up costing the county, you and me, $28,500. That's what it costs to do this program. The county collected $17,500 in revenue from the employees who sent their kiddos there. It wasn't free, they had to pay for it, but it was a discounted program south of the Broad and north of the Broad. That means there was a net loss of $11,000. So, as a side note with that, if anybody tells you that government operations is not a business, they don't understand economics. Operating a business or any business function that operates in a net loss is bad. That's bad business practice that leads to bankruptcy, that leads to closure. Let your mind go where you want. This happens time and time again in this county, and it's hardly ever talked about. But the reason I bring this up is not because the county lost money, which is bad enough, and someone should be responsible for that. But this is about the process and that statement in the memorandum to employees that said the program is not open to the public. We are doing our best to disguise it. So, county spokesperson Chris Ophart stated to reporters, and this would be to the Island Packet, that, quote, there was never any attempt to hide it from the public. Now, let's time out there for a minute. That was a quote. There was never any attempt to hide it from the public. Let's go back and rewind the memorandum. Quote, since the program is not open to the public, we are doing our best to disguise it from the public. End quote. What in the world is the difference between disguise and hide? I'm glad you asked that. So we went and researched that. They're being used as verbs in this, and I'm no English major, but they're being used as verbs in this particular situation. I quote this: the difference between hide and disguise is that hide is to put something in a place where it will be harder to discover or out of sight. Disguise is to change the appearance of a person or thing so as to hide or to assume an identity. Well, let me tell you, I didn't get off the turnip truck last night and I wasn't born last night. To me, that sounds pretty much the damn same. Anyway, this program brought out a lot, I mean, a ton of community dissent. Many folks in the community were vocal about this and said that they should have been afforded the same benefit that county employees were afforded because it was administered with public money. That's your and my tax dollars. That's how it wasn't a private thing. This was public money. Instead of taking this head on, the county is trying to whitewash it. Period. They should have took it head on. You know what? It was a bad idea. We made a big mistake. We'll change that. We're not doing that again. And the intent, whatever. People would have said, okay. But no, County Administrator Eric Greenway is whitewashing this by saying it was just poor wording. Kind of the nothing here to see, people. Move along. Nothing to see here. The shell game is not in play. So Greenway is defending the program. Understandably, it's his job. He has to do that. And he calls it a success. Calling a proposition that loses money a success is an example of, again, not understanding simple economics. And that should worry the hell out of every one of us. They did a bad program that was misusing tax dollars and they lost money at it. That's a double gut punch. I agree with Beaufort City Councilman Mitch Mitchell, 110%, 110% with what he said when asked about this. He said, quote, they said exactly what they intended to say. It's just that they got caught, end quote. We're going to continue to watch this as it moves forward. Mitch Mitchell, Councilman Mitchell, your honorable Councilman Mitchell, you hit it exactly. They meant every word they said. The only is they got caught. Mike Gleason out of Hilton. Hey, good to see you, Mike. Glad you're watching. Says the Hilton Head Boys and Girls Club received no support for their summer camp. I'm sure they applied for some of the tax dollars, either the hospitality or accommodations taxes. From what you're saying, they didn't receive any support. Yet the county subsidizes a program that loses money and keeps it on the down low because they want to disguise it from the public knowing they're doing it. That's just bad. That is just that stinks. We hope newly elected county council members don't buy into this corruption. I, I, I couldn't agree more with that statement. Again, take responsibility. Hit it head on. You can accept you can people can accept somebody saying, you know what, I made a mistake. I made a mistake. Here's what I did. I'm not going to do that again. Let's move on, and we'll make it right. I doubt there's anybody here that would say, "Oh my God, no!" Even if they did that, I want to hang them out on the public square. No, we don't believe that way. We don't operate that way. But to hide it, I mean, this is the kind of crap we teach our kids not to do. Tell the truth, man up to it, make it right, and move along. Move on with your life. They hid it. They lost money with it. They pissed off the community, and now they're saying, "I don't see anything wrong here." So I don't know. I want to tell you about an event that's coming up, and Avi sent us a link here to it. Put this on your calendars, folks. Um, this is going to be in the 19th of September at 6 p.m. at Old Beaufort Golf Club. Okay, you can go take a picture of this so you don't lose it, or write it down if you got speed writing, or send an email to, I believe it's Helen LPS123 at gmail.com. Good friend Helen Spalding. Again, that's Helen LPS at, or Helen LPS123 at gmail.com about tickets. Tickets are $10. There'll be food. There'll be, I'm sure there'll be tea, water, tea, whatever. I don't know. This is a myscgop.com event. It's going to be it's called Reorg. And this is going to be the coming out of the Beaufort chapter of the MySCGOP, I don't want group, okay, for lack of better words. Jeff Davis of MySCGOP will be there speaking. I'm going to be there speaking. There'll be other things going on. It's going to be an exciting event. And now, if you believe that the establishment is doing a fine job and Kevin Hennelley is the man, and then you probably won't enjoy this whatsoever. Please still come, pay your $10, and have some delicious food. But you probably won't enjoy yourself. Anybody and David just asked something about rhinos. Yeah, you can talk about them. If you are a rhino, Republican in name only, this probably will not be um, exciting for you, because people that will be at this event are people who are tired of being sick and tired of establishment politics. They're sick and tired of hearing the same crap out of the incumbents that are establishment and elitists out of their mouth. This is for people who believe in honesty, integrity, transparency in government, who believe that the government or the elected officials are the representatives of the people to the government, not the government's representative to the people. There's a big difference there. There's a huge difference there. 19th of September. Take a picture of this real quick before I change the screen. Get your reservations, $10 a head. There'll be food, drink, good conversation. If nothing else, I'll make a fool of myself on stage. I think you'll enjoy it, what we have to say. Jeff Davis, I think you'll enjoy that. But it's a great time to be with like-minded people that want the conservative value in America to come back. Not this uniparty, not anything that we see right now. We don't want that. Julianne, so important to be there. Absolutely. David, you already got reservations. Glad to hear that. There's my friend Helen. Couldn't have said it better myself. And let me tell you, you want to meet some really fine folks, people like Helen Ivy, obviously our soon-to-be auditor, David Cadd, Julianne, I know is going to be there. There'll be a lot of folks that share this zeal, that share this excitement and this passion for what this not only what this country can be, but what this community can be. Imagine a county GOP, excuse me, that valued your position. Imagine a GOP, and, and if there are any Democrats listening, go ahead and insert Democrat, insert or Republican, because I think it applies to you too. And you all need to do the same thing. But imagine a Republican Party that listened to its membership, not dictated to its membership. Imagine a Republican Party that said, we want everyone to hear the words of the people that want to support you, that want to be your voice to the government, not only a select few. What a tremendous and powerful thing that would be. Right now, it's about 10 minutes past the hour. Quickly moving on. So sign up for that. You're going to totally enjoy it, and I want to meet you. So I was given a document yesterday at a meeting I attended with some of these same folks that are on here tonight. And it's quite interesting. And I thought I would share this with you as we close out the show here in the next 15, 20 minutes. This document is a copy of remarks made in 1963. That was before Mike Gleason. You and I were probably the only ones alive on here today. And I wasn't even alive now that I think about it, only by a couple of years there, so to speak. Anyways, made in 1963 by Florida U.S. Representative, rather, Furlong, that came from a lady by the name of Patricia Nordman of Florida, who was the publisher of the DeLand Courier newspaper. Representative Furlong had introduced this part of an extemporaneous speech that she had put into the congressional record, and it's in the congressional record. You can go to the archives and see for yourself. Nothing we say here isn't available to everybody. So anyway, what was published was an excerpt from a book you may have heard of, entitled "The Naked Communist," written by Cleon Skousen, again in 1963. There were 45 goals, and I hope I say his name right, that Skousen wrote about and said that would have to be completed for communism to begin its stronghold in America. Just as Lenin understood that the bill of sale of communism was going to be a hard pill to swallow for the people. So let's start off in socialism, rub it in, and all of a sudden communism will happen. Skousen's uh, book, these 45 things, would have to happen while socialism is being massaged in to get into communism. Let's see where we stand some 60 years later. Take a look at it. So, real quickly, this is 1963. 1963. U.S. acceptance of coexistence as the only alternative to atomic war. We all must get along. We all must get along. So, in certain, yes, that is happening. U.S. willingness to capitulate in preference to engaging in atomic war. Absolutely, that's happening. Develop the illusion that total disarmament by the United States would be a demonstration of moral strength. There are factions of people and political parties that believe that all arms should be disarmed. Everybody with me on that? That's happening. And that's happening. That hasn't happened. It's happening. Buford Chalkboard said, I just made a reservations. Yes. Number 4, permit free trade between all nations, regardless of communist affiliation, regardless of whether or not items can be used for war. Absolutely, that is going on. There are factions of people and ideologies that believe all over the world you should be able to trade, irregardless of whether you are a state that sponsors terrorism or nuclear war or whatever. And that is just not proper. That's why we don't trade with North Korea. Okay, fair enough. Extension of long-term loans to Russia and Soviet satellites. Soviet satellites being countries like Estonia, et cetera, that are satellites of the former Soviet Union. Remember, this was 1963. She was still the golden sickle was still going on. There at that time there were long-term loans. You'll hear about that here again in just a second. Number six, provide American aid to all nations regardless of communist domination. I don't know that that one um, is totally going on, and I may be wrong, but I don't know that I can say that with total confidence. And that was number six. If you look these up, these are in the same order. Number seven, grant recognition of Red China, admission of Red China to the UN. Absolutely done. Check it off the mark. China back in '63, they called it Red China. I remember when they used to say Red Communism. The Red China not only is a member of the UN, they are a member of the Security Council of the UN. Set up East and West Germany as separate states in spite of Khrushchev's promise in 1955 to settle the German question by free elections under supervision of the UN. So this one is a real twist because East and West Germany did get set up as separate nations, separate states. Then, obviously, under President Reagan, we saw the collapse. So that one, number eight, has a really strange dichotomy of how it went from to and then to. Number nine, prolong the conferences to ban atomic tests because the United States has agreed to suspend tests as long as negotiations are in progress. I'm not a nuclear expert. Um, as far as I know, this is happening. Um, has been asked for, but is not happening. Let me rephrase that. Number 10, allow all Soviet satellites individual representation in the UN, and that has happened. People like Estonia and Latvia and so forth. Belarus. Promote the UN as the only hope for mankind. If its charter is rewritten, demand that it be set up as one world government with its own independent forces. So that has been pushed. It is the desire of many communist and socialized uh, folks, and some in this country, to have a one world order. Number 12, resist any attempt resist any attempt to outlaw the Communist Party. Obviously, that is happening. Do away with all loyalty oaths. I didn't look into that one, and I'm not 100% sure around the world where that would apply. Number 14, continue giving Russia access to the U.S. Patent Office. That happened until this year. This year, in March, I believe it was, of 2022, they called it Ross Patent. That was the Russian version of the patent office. They had access to the U.S. Patent Office. That was cut off in this year. But we were continuing. Capture one or both of the political parties in the U.S. Hell, that's going on. Use technical decisions of the courts to weaken basic American institutions by claiming their activities violating civil rights. Yes, that's happening. I want to go down to some of the more uh, prominent ones. Pre- Present homosexuality, degeneracy, and promiscuity as normal, natural, and healthy. That is happening all over this country. And again, I don't care if you're gay, straight, you think you're a pig or a duck. I could care less. But I don't believe in promoting homosexuality, degeneracy, or promiscuity as a way of life, and especially not in the public school system. What's another prominent one? Discredit the American founding fathers, present them as selfish aristocrats who had no concern for the common man. All you got to do is go into any chat room other than one here. You'll find something like that. Have a conservative voice, have a common sense voice, and you'll probably 99.9% sure be told what an idiot you are. Support any socialist movement. Support any socialist movement to give centralized control over any part of the culture, education, social agencies, welfare programs, mental health clinics, etc. Welcome to America. Infiltrate the press. Get control of book review assignments, editorial writing, policy making. That's right here, folks. Eliminate the House Committee on Un-American Activities. Eliminated 1975. Internationalize the Panama Canal. Done 1999. Repeal the Connolly Reservation so the United States cannot prevent the World Court from seizing jurisdiction. Unfortunately, 1985, under Ronald Reagan, that was done. So this is scary. This is scary stuff. He wrote about it in 1963, 50 plus years ago, headed towards 60. And overwhelmingly, the number that have happened or are happening is greater than the number that hasn't. Is America headed towards socialism into communism? If this continues, I think we see what the answer could be. Damage just got here late. Yeah, you're going to have to go back and listen to it again. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. The Naked Communist book is on the shelves all over this country in many political subdivisions, centers of higher education. It's an excellent read. Take a look and really dive in there. And there's a couple that I just didn't have a lot of time to go into, like the loyalty oaths and so forth. I'd like to know more about that. But the overall part of this is scary how close we have gotten. So there you have it. And let's go over here. I want to. At the time we were about 5 minutes left in the show. I do end the show on a high note. I want to express our sincere thanks to all of you who spend the 90 minutes a week right here on this channel. We want to provide more material for you as we go along, exposing corruption in and throughout Beaufort County and the low country of South Carolina. We're going to do it through video, radio methods. Consider becoming a member of our family by going over to patreon.com/Beaufort House of Cards. Becoming a member. Check it out. It's easy. It's great. Next week, folks, is going to be full blast. We have some serious news we're working on. Serious news. And we're hoping to have a guest in here. We'll iron that out. That is going to be memorable. We have 2 more write-in candidates that I'm talking to almost daily. We really hope to announce this coming week 2 more that will be running Beaufort County Council, hopefully in District 4 and in District 9. We'll see. It's a big step, big deal. Kevin Hennelley, there are people that are going to vote for write-in candidates. Carolyn Fisher, one that comes to mind right off the bat. Carolyn Fisher, District 6, is going to be your winner. Just know. More on that to come as we move along here on the Beaufort County House of Cards. Until then, we love you, America.